Well, the cows are back in due to the Welsh weather, but it's not so bad today actually, and Whistle Watch is back as well. And welcome back to the farm. Now then, I will be focusing on Brodie Retalic's red card in the game, New Zealand against Japan. I'll be also looking at Glenn Young's yellow card up in Murrayfield, and we'll be focusing a little bit as well on what laws to watch out for during this November international window. But first of all, my favourite part of Whistle Watch, and yours too, your Emirates fans questions. Right then, here we go. Now, I do love your Emirates fans questions, and let's start with this one. Hansi Jans van Rensburg. Oh, that's a great South African name. You must be South African. Good day, sir. I am in RSA and would love to get started with my training to become a ref. How do I get started? Well, listen, that's great to hear you want to become a referee. Get on the South African Rugby website, have a look for the links there for the referees, and I'm sure there'll be information there. And let me know how you get on. What happens if you make a grubber and it bounces through the poles? Is it then 3 points? Right, it'll basically play on. So that means you don't get 3 points. So if you grubber it and it goes through the poles or goes through the posts, if it goes behind the try line and it's picked up, it's play on, or if it's downed by an attacking player, it'll be a try. If it is put down by a defending player, it will be a goal line dropout if it was put back there by the attacking team, or if it carries on and goes over the dead ball line, then it'll be a drop of 22, or option scrum back from where the attacking team kicked it from. So no points for a grubber kick between the posts. Samuel Pigeon. Which teams do you think will battle each other in the Women's World Cup final? Ooh, now then, some good games coming up in the semi-final. Canada against England. I think England are strong. I think they'll be too strong for Canada. But you never know what can happen in the semi-final, but I'll go for England on that one. Now then, the second semi-final, or the first one, whichever they're being played, it's a little bit more tricky to choose. Two good teams. This is going to be close. So I think home advantage will be just enough for New Zealand in that one, unless there's a lot of pressure on them. So it's a tight one, but I'll go for an England-New Zealand final. And what a great final that will be. Morgan Vaughan. Nigel, Morgan here. Following your well-earned retirement from being on the pitch, are you not keen to be a TMO? Is that a possibility? It is a possibility. And the answer is no. I always did my refereeing on the field, and that's how I wanted it to end as well. So no, it's a tough job being a TMO, mind, but no, it's not for me. And anyway, I haven't got time to be TMO. I've got the cows to look after. And that's it. Those are your Emirates fans questions this week. Thank you very much for sending them in. Right then, let's move on, and it's time for Whistle Watch. And let's start off up in Murrayfield, the game between Scotland and Australia. And let's have a look at the decision of Glenn Young's yellow card. Well, look, the clear message here from everybody is that it should be a red card. The player comes in at speed from a distance. He has a clear line of view of where the contact is going to be, and he makes contact with the head. The key thing to remember here is that it shouldn't differentiate between a bicep and a shoulder. And bear in mind, some of the players' biceps are harder than my shoulders. So that doesn't play a part in it. What would play a part if there was mitigation? There was no mitigation in this instance. So there was no last sudden movement by the player. There was nothing that's happened last second. There was plenty of time for this player to readjust what he was doing and to limit that risk of contact with the head. So the only thing that should be taken into account here was the degree of danger. Was it a high degree of danger or was it a low degree of danger? That's what would bring it from a red to yellow. But in this instance here, as I said, clear sight, high degree of danger, direct contact to the head, and this should be a red card. New Zealand against Japan, a little bit more straightforward here. If you're watching the game, Japan player goes in to jackal the ball. The key thing here is he's on his feet. So he's not off his feet, he's on his feet, he's in a strong position, but he's still very low. So Retalic comes in, he comes in with the shoulder direct down to the back of the head, neck area of the player. That is dangerous play, high degree of danger, no mitigation whatsoever, and that is a red card because it is very, very dangerous play. Some of you have been asking, well, how can you clear out when a player is in that position? Well, this player is in a good, strong, low position. So if you want to clear this out, we always have to look at it as a plane taking off or a plane landing. If you think of a plane landing, coming in and landing on a player, that is dangerous. It's illegal. So what you want is the actions of like a plane taking off. So you want the player to come in low, to get underneath the player, lift him up and then drive him off, just like a plane taking off. Or you come in and you grab the player and you pull him up and you try to shift him away from that area. That is the way that you clear out these situations. So as a player, if you're coming in and you don't think you're able to do that, then my advice would be for you to stay on the field, and also, more importantly than that, player safety. Don't go in with the shoulder onto a player in that position on the field. Red card, no debate whatsoever. Right, let's move on to the Women's World Cup. Wales against New Zealand in that quarter-final. In this instance of the New Zealand game, what we see is a legal tackle being made. So the player goes to tackle, the momentum then of the player running as well causes the player to go up in the air above the horizontal. But the key thing is here, the referee and the TMO look at this and decide that there is no then dangerous play afterwards. So they haven't sort of turned and driven them to the ground. They haven't dropped them on their head, although it is very close where the player comes down. So taking into account here, the referee has decided that this warrants a yellow card. On this one, a yellow card is an understandable decision. So that's it for Whistle Watch. Let's move on. Now, last week I told you what players and teams to look out for, but this week I'm going to put my refereeing cap on and I'm going to have a chat with you about what laws to look out for in this upcoming November test window. The first is the kick chase obstruction. So when there's a kick up in the air and the attacking team are chasing to regain possession of that ball, remember, first of all, they all must be onside. They can't be in front of the kicker. So when they're chasing this ball, the defenders then must not do anything deliberately to obstruct or block them getting at the ball or getting at the guy who may be catching the ball and able to compete or contest for it or tackle the ball catcher. So what you can do, run back in your natural line. What you can't do is this. You can't run back towards where the ball is coming down and then put yourself in a position to block people coming to compete with the ball which is coming down pretty close to you. Or if you were running back and you were looking, this is the trigger sometimes that helps the referee decide if somebody is obstructing. If you're running back and you're looking where the chasers are coming from, and then you change your angle then to get in front of them or get in their way, that would be deemed you're obstructing him getting back to the ball. So as long as you're running back to wherever you want to go, that is fine. But don't do anything deliberately to obstruct the chasers. The other one, very, very difficult. I have a lot of sympathy with referees on this one. Very, very difficult area of the game to referee now is the line-out stroke maul setup. Is it legal? Is there people in front of the ball carrier coming down for the line-up, preventing the defence from getting at the ball carrier, sacking that maul illegally, making the maul very difficult to defend? So what World Rugby want here is they want a clear space. So what has been happening, these two support jumpers, two of them, sometimes one of them, they will go in behind you, putting a block between me as the catcher and the defender. So it's impossible for the defensive team to get at the catcher or player with the ball. There has to be a clear space. So as long as the two support jumpers are on the side, so you could be covering the shoulder area, but the main area of the back of the player with the ball has to be accessible to the defence. If the referee feels that there's no clear access there, then it will be a penalty for what we call double banking, and it's a very, very difficult area of the game to referee. There you go. Those are my two laws for you to watch out for during this November window. I hope it's given you some clarity, and I expect a lot of you to be refereeing it from the comfort of your chair. Well, I hope you'll enjoy the upcoming international window. There'll be some exciting games there, starting off, of course, on Saturday with my beloved Wales against New Zealand. And I think the team that's going to win that game will be a team starting with W, finishing with Wales. Fingers crossed. Apologies to my friends across the sea. Hope you enjoyed Whistle Watch. I'll be back next week. See you then.